We have some breaking news as Mitch Marner is gone. Brad Treliving has come out for the first time, revealed the truth, and spoke out on Mitch Marner's future in Toronto. And what he had to say is absolutely insane. We're going to break down the exact comments, and out of nowhere, a brand new press conference that no one saw coming. We have a ton of other details to go over today. There's a ton to go over, folks, but before we can do it all, if you're a part of the 71% who aren't subscribed to the channel, this is the place to be for daily Leafs content, so make sure to hit that subscribe button. Thank you guys again for your continued support over here as we're on the road to the big goal of course, 30,000 subscribers, the smaller goal of 25,000. You guys have been beast. Darius, completely out of nowhere today, a press conference from Brad Treliving, and we're all just sitting around, waiting for moves to happen with the Leafs, and then Brad Treliving comes out and reveals the truth about Mitch Marner and the highly likely outcome that he is gone. Let's not waste any more time here, folks. There's a lot of different things here. Let's just start with this. Leafs GM Brad Treliving on Mitch Marner. We have a lot of quotes here. We have some context as well. He says basically he's anticipating that he'll hit the market. And this, of course, means hit the free agency market on July 1st. And if you pair this with all the reports that have come out as recent as today, he is all but gone as a Toronto Maple Leaf. We kind of knew if he ever hit the market on July 1st, that's probably going to, be the end of his tenure with the Leafs just because of how many teams can offer him money. And of course, the likely outcome was always he was going to hit the market. I'm not saying the news that he's hitting the market is super shocking, but it confirms what we all either, were excited about or feared. And again, it doesn't sound like Mitch Marner is going to make a decision right out of the gate. The plan is for his agent, Darren Ferris and Marner, to gauge interest from teams, narrow that list down, possibly visit a few select cities. And of course, they'll have a chance to speak with Mitch directly. He's going through the whole process here. Is there a chance he remains with the Leafs? I'd give it less than 5% at this point, at least in my mind. But he's hitting the open market. And Brad did mention they had conversations, but nothing productive. And his time as a Maple Leaf is all but confirmed over at this point.
Yeah, and I think we knew since the season ended that it was probably a 95% chance that he was going to leave, but we all had the back of our heads that it was still a 5% chance, let's say, that he could return, right? The door wasn't completely closed. Brad Treliving left it open. Do I agree with that? No, they should absolutely move on from Mitch Marner. Mitch Marner should probably move on from the team as well. That's just what I think, at least, but the door still isn't officially closed. But the language that he used in this surprise pop-up press conference that he did this morning, or conference call, whatever you want to call it. But the language that he used, he said, barring any miracles, essentially, he is going to hit the market. He is going to check out some other cities, and he is going to sign somewhere else. He's not going to continue as the Toronto Maple Leaf. He's not going to re-sign with the Leafs. And he also didn't mention anything, not that he probably wouldn't have in this press conference anyway, but a sign and trade or anything that, along those lines. He didn't mention anything like that. And again, not that he would have in this press conference, but didn't mention anything about asset management or they're trying to figure something out. They have had conversations, but just a few days away now from Tuesday, from July 1st, we do have some sort of confirmation that, Brad Treliving saying the way it looks right now, he's not going to be returning. He will be hitting the market. And again, I think it's a good thing for the Leafs as an organization. I hate to use this phrase with him, and I see it a lot in the comments and all of that. It is addition by subtraction. I honestly do believe that with Mitch Marner. I think he's a great player, and he'll probably find success somewhere else. But the current makeup of this team and the salary cap structure just not going to work with this player. So they have to focus on using those dollars that are going to free up and the fact that the salary cap is going up on something else. But there is some more interesting information that came out today too. We're going to break that down later in the video. But all signs are pointing right now, Mitch Marner's, and we knew it, he wasn't going to return. But these comments just a couple days away from July 1st make me believe they tried to figure out everything that they could with Mitch Marner to recoup some type of asset. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, and again, this also kind of directly correlates to a potential sign and trade. Is that still likely? It is not likely. Sorry, it's still possible.
It's on the table.
Yeah, with of course the Vegas Golden Knights. We'll have to see what happens there. Though they made some moves yesterday. They acquired Brendan Saad. There's some rumblings about Thomas Hertl going to Leafs. We'll cover that, of course, in a future video. But I mean, clearly here, Marner, his agent literally said he's going to go and look around and, make his decision there, which is fully within his right. And again, Pierre LeBrun, feel free to pause and read all this. It basically highlights, a thing a few years ago back with Alex Pietrangelo and all these different things. I think Vegas is the most likely outcome. They have talked, and that's something that is important within this. They did talk, which probably means even more likely that he's gone because they had their conversations. All the reports coming out from Elliot Friedman basically saying the sides were never really close. And I think once this is all said and done, it'll probably be they had a quick, brief talk. They realized they're not going to come to an agreement. And now I wouldn't be surprised if he goes to Vegas for 14 million or something crazy, or if he goes to the Anaheim Ducks for 15. We're hearing some rumblings about over 7 years, which is absolutely ludicrous. But with the way the cap is going up, it does make some sense. And the exact quote was, I probably describe it, unless there's a significant change here, I would anticipate that he's going to hit the market. And just a crazy sequence of events from a few years ago. They should have traded him when they had the chance. All these different things we can look back in hindsight. But this is also very rare for a GM in general, days before their superstar free agent is about to hit the market, to say that he is hitting the market and that they talked, but bearing a massive change of events here, it's going to mark the end of their tenure here in Toronto.
Yeah, and I think that there could be some. Again, would they be open to signing Mitch Marner? The door is still cracked open a smidge, right? It really is, but I don't think it's very likely, and I don't think they should go down that route. But I do think that Brad Treliving is, throwing this out there, just saying, I think it's time that we move on and start looking in a different direction in terms of how we're going to help the team, because Mitch Marner is probably leaving July 1st. We can't wait around to see what Mitch Marner is doing, if he's going to be checking out, 5 other teams, let's say, and then we're the 6th option still, and he might fall back on us or something like that, which I just don't think is going to be the case. So got to start looking towards, how do you help the rest of the team? How do you fill in the rest of the team? And not only that, we're going to have another video later today too on John Tavares and Matthew Knies. They're still not signed. You got to start turning your attention to that, because we're just a couple days away from John Tavares becoming an unrestricted free agent, and Matthew Knies going to offer sheet territory, which is very scary, because there is a team out there that's going to offer him a lot of money on an offer sheet, and it's up to him if he wants to sign it or not. So you have to get that done soon. So I think that in him saying this, yes, it's, the door is still kind of open, I guess. They hasn't officially said we are 100% moving on, but it does seem like it's going in that way. This was more clarity on the situation, that they've tried to work out a sign and trade, all the things that we've been talking about, and it's come to this point just a couple of days before free agency that it's just not going to happen. Let's start turning the page. Let's look to the future in terms of how we're filling out the rest of the team and what's happening with John Tavares and Matthew Knies. That's priority number 1 at this point.
Yeah, and obviously a couple other reports here from Chris Johnson. Mitch Marner in Dallas, it would appeal to Marner. I don't know how that works. They don't have a lot of cap space, so Chris Johnson just throwing stuff at a wall here. I don't know how that would even, begin to work, but it could. But again, the expectation as of late, this is from Freeman, I believe, but if this isn't from Freeman, there's also another report from Freeman. Favorite to this point are the Vegas Golden Knights, rather. I will say, in the course of the daily conversations around the league, the feeling is that Vegas should be viewed as kind of the quote-unquote favorites on this. So kind of what we expected. And again, we know the way that Darren Ferris, I guess not acts necessarily, but the way that he conducts himself is interesting at times, especially when it comes to his clients. So again, going to go look around every single city, and it's an interesting timeline. And the biggest problem here with the Leafs is they can't sit around and wait. And you can look at the second paragraph I briefly mentioned earlier. Alex Pietrangelo visited Vegas before signing with the Golden Knights on October 12th, 2020, 3 days after the market opened. Zach Parise and Ryan Suter made their joint splash July 4th, also 3 days in. And then there's Nazem Kadri, who didn't sign until August 18th. So it's probably going to be somewhere in the middle here. But if there's been some rumblings that Marner's going to take his time here and really, stretch this thing out, the Leafs do not have time for that. The last thing you could do is put all your eggs in the Mitch Marner basket randomly. He signs elsewhere late July, early August. Brad Marchand's gone. And then all the other contingency lower tier players are gone as well. Andre Mangiapane, Brandon Tanev, all these things. You can't risk that, and hopefully they don't. But let us know down below what your thoughts are on this. Some craziness coming out. We're having multiple videos today covering all of this. So make sure to hit the subscribe button. Thank you guys for watching. See you later.